Hello, everybody. I'm doing a test and I almost choked on an Oreo.
You roll. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Well, I guess there's no, pun or anything related to this number. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 102 of the HooperCast. Dustin, you're here.
I'm here finally.
Yay!
Yay! I'm back.
What are you eating right now? Because I'm eating too, and I'm curious about who's going to win the food fight today.
I just finished chicken parmesan, and I'm washing it down with some Oreos.
What kind of chicken parmesan?
Like legit chicken parm, like chicken breast on top of noodles.
Like homemade?
Yeah.
I've got some, Japanese food, like medium rare steak chunks and cucumber rice sushi and, miso soup and some...
I think you win this round, Hoover.
It's pretty damn good, I must say.
I think you win this round. Because it's not that the chicken parm was bad, but it was leftovers. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So it automatically gets knocked down a point because it's leftovers. Mm-hmm. There's very few things that get knocked up a point when it's a leftover.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, for me, I was just telling my wife the other day, there's something I actually prefer a day old, and I can't remember what it is. Well, that's great pod, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway.
No, I don't know.
Oh, man, it's going to drive me nuts, though. It was like... Man, I don't know. It wasn't like pizza or anything. It was some sort of casserole.
But cold pizza is pretty good.
There was some stuff that I preferred. I don't like cold pizza.
Really?
I'd rather leave pizza out overnight on the counter and eat it the next day at room temperature than I would putting it in a fridge and then microwaving it or eating it cold. I don't like at home, before, when I still lived with my parents, in high school, I didn't microwave pizza because it got all soft. And so I do the thing where I would burn kilowatts heating the oven up to heat it because it would keep it crispy.
That's what I do.
And for me, it was just...
That's what I did in college.
Yeah.
I would order a Papa John's and then put it in the oven the next day, any of our leftovers.
Yeah, I don't like cold, but I'll take it out of the fridge, but then I'll leave it out for an hour for it to then warm up naturally.
Yeah, but truth be told, I do like cold pizza, so...
Yeah, some people are like, "Oh, I prefer cold pizza." I'm like, "You're out of your fucking mind."
I don't prefer it. It's not. It's still pizza, so it's still edible.
Yeah,
but I can eat pizza at any temperature.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm one of the things that makes my marriage work is that I'll eat anything. Not that no, and Tara's a good cook, but I'll eat any leftovers. Period.
Yeah.
There's some things she doesn't like to eat afterward because of the texture. I'll eat anything. I eat expired bread here.
Oh, yeah,
it's not moldy yet, but it's past due. Some people freaked out about that, or the milk. I just pour it in my coffee, and I'm like, all right, well, if it makes it into my stomach before it actually curdles, then I'm good to go.
Right,
that's my whole thing. It says it's expired, but that's really like a countdown clock. So for me, if I consume it and process it, if I can do that,
before
pretty quickly. Well, yeah, before it spoils, then it doesn't count.
Yeah, no, for me, the only thing that I get a little, iffy about for expiration date is bread. And that's not even, I think I'm going to die. It's just that it gets harder and, I don't know. It's just a texture thing, I guess. But I just like fresh bread. What can I say? I like it to be soft and moist.
For me, it's mostly just I've never, ever gotten sick from something I've eaten past expiration. I'm not a monster. I'm not gonna eat clearly moldy bread, like blue bread. Sure. But if it just because the stupid label says it's past, I just look at it. I'm like, well, it looks fine to me. I eat it.
Those labels are pretty arbitrary anyway.
They're arbitrary. Now, look, I'm not going to feed them to my kid.
Yeah,
I'll eat them, but
yeah.
I've yet to be sidelined by such a practice.
Right. No. Do you remember junior year when we moved out we were all packing up. We were cleaning out the fridge and stuff and all of our cabinets.
Oh, jeez.
And our fridge was like, if you remember, it was under some cabinetry. So there's like just a little gap under there. And when we were moving out, I remember finding a package of hot dog buns. There's only one bun in it. And I don't know how long that bun had been there. I can't remember. But it was like black. Like it looked like a wallet. It didn't look like bread anymore.
Like a checkbook.
It did. It was a checkbook.
Oh, jeez. That was probably mine because I think I put my food up there because I bought so much food. I ran out of space.
Yeah. True.
It's probably my bad.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't hurting anything.
I'm sorry.
It was funny if I remember
Dustin,
right.
I said I'm sorry.
Well, too bad, Hooper. What's done is done.
Well, speaking of what's done is done, that sounds kind of like dumb. And what's dumb is the movie Dumb and Dumber 2.
The segue was a little forced, but I'm with you.
It was very much forced. Now, why did I watch this film? Because
I don't know.
I don't either. But I'm gathering in retrospect that my wife had expressed interest in watching it because she had recently seen the original movie, and so I was running by Redbox one day, and I picked it up, or the library. I was at the library. Who cares? So I was at the library and I got it, and I just said, "Hey, let's watch this" or whatever. And so we watched it in like 3 or 4 sittings.
It took that long.
Well, yeah, but there's just also time scheduling stuff. My wife and I have to book time for each other.
Sure.
So, which may have hurt the viewing of the film, but then again, it might have helped it just to have 4 intermissions. So, what else? I'm not going to say the movie's good or bad. It's definitely not good. Like, is it a must-see? No. Mm-hmm. Neither is the first one, to be honest. But the first one, I think, is funny. Yeah, you know. But the more you watch it nowadays, it's like, okay, like, this is kind of lightning in a bottle. That this premise work, you know. Yeah. Now, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels didn't look as old as I thought they probably would. Like, they're clearly going to look older because they're like 50-year-old dudes wearing these, the exact same wardrobe from the last movie. So it does look a little weird to see Jim Carrey with a bowl cut, and his face is like clearly aged.
Right.
And but the film, and I was trying to think, I was like, would they have done this in the original film? And I don't know if I never really thought about it this much or not, but I was sort of like, because I felt like Lloyd was very crude. But then I thought, because my wife was bringing this up, and she had said, so he's the smarter of the two of them. And I was like, and so I started to realize like the differences between Harry and Lloyd as characters. The fact that Harry's dumber, but he's a better person, when Lloyd's smarter than him, but he's basically a bad person.
Right.
And so for him to be making like, crude jokes or saying the wrong thing, like saying pretty crude things to the wrong people, sometimes it felt just like a blatant just a blatant gross out joke, like verbally.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, that's I guess that's character appropriate. He doesn't have, I don't know. Anyway, I'm already too deep into my thoughts on it. The point is, the movie had a few moments that made me, I would laugh out loud, kind of, but more it just like absurdist, not necessarily clever.
Sure.
But there was a few moments in there where I was really enjoying it. And then there were a bunch of, like the first 4 or 5 jokes in the movie fell completely flat for me.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
that's never a good sign.
Well, yeah. And they're all, exactly. I could just tell like, okay, like whether, even if the rest of the movie is gold, the decision to start the movie with these jokes, was
a poor one.
Just a poor one. Yeah. So, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels are good in the roles, obviously. I sort of wish they had them mature a little bit. And I know that might seem like a stupid thing to say with this movie, but I think it's a valid criticism because then at least the humor will have evolved a little bit.
Sure.
They weren't really, what I liked is they weren't really that self-referential about what time period it is now, like what's changed in 20 years. And only a couple times, because Lloyd has basically spent the time between movies in a fugue state, in a coma, or not really, but like it's a joke. It's in the trailer. Like he was just playing a prank on Harry so that Harry would change his diapers for 20 years and change a catheter out and stuff. But he still is a bit unaware of what's going on, but they don't spend a lot of time on that point at all, because that would have been stupid, because the audience knows what's happening in culture. It wasn't bad. It's worth like a $1 rental, like a Redbox rental or a library rental. But it's, I don't know. The Farrelly brothers, I don't know.
They need some help, I think.
Or just stop.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
That's my advice. Stop.
Aren't they doing another Three Stooges movie?
Are they?
I don't know. I thought I heard that. I'm so far removed from like what they're up to. I don't even know. Maybe I'm just completely wrong.
Three Stooges, High Noon on Mega Mountain.
Ugh.
Three Stooges.
Let's see what they're up to. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, it was just. It's whatever. It was a whatever movie. I mean, it was fun enough to watch with my wife, who can be disgusted and appreciate gross out humor at the same time. And there's a couple of kind of funny lines in there, of like what Dumb and Dumber does best, which is I think here's what I'll say. I think the strength in which this is a big part of the third act of this movie, and then they did it a couple of times with I think in the first one, I believe, was anytime there's mistaken identity with them, because they're smart enough to know when to take advantage of people thinking they're someone important, and but dumb enough to where it's funny. Like, I can't believe this person thinks that they are Professor who and so, who's supposed to be given a TED talk, and they make him a judge, and he's up there like judging like stuff that cures cancer. He's like, yeah, but I'm just not seeing the wow. And like he's trying to play the part, basically. Things like that are funny because that's inherent comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
But other things like certain one-liners or he has encrusted this box to me instead of entrusted. It's just like, I don't know, like
I don't know. I think that's funny. I laughed when you said that. I'm sorry. I just completely ruined your point.
No. It's they're not bad. It's just like if it's real, I don't know. It was it might be surprisingly amusing.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know, because I don't know. I was interested in this, but not enough to spend $10 or $12 to see it in theaters, and I just haven't gone out of my way to see it since. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe my expectations would be low enough to enjoy parts of it.
Well, like I said, with that first scene where they're like, the jokes are just falling on deaf ears, all I could think was, I can't imagine being in a crowded theater right now, hearing nothing, being able to hear a pin drop among like a big group of people with this. It'd be so uncomfortable in the theater to just be like, oh, no one's laughing. I was just so proud that I paid 75 cents to see this movie, and I didn't have to wear pants while I watched it,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So.
Well, let me ask you this. Another one of my concerns with it was that all of the best jokes were going to be in the trailer. Do you find that was true or not?
I don't think I really saw many of the trailers.
I gotcha.
The trailer didn't spoil all the good jokes. It spoiled a few of them, of course, but
sure.
No, it did a pretty good job of reserving those for the actual viewing.
Good deal.
Yeah, I don't know. The more I think about it, God, this happens with every movie I'm so about. I talk about why it's not that great, and then I'm like, I don't know though. Like I guess I thought it'd be much worse. I mean, I probably won't see it again. It's not like it's not like now you got to buy the double feature box set. Of these movies, like they're incomplete without each other. Like no,
exactly.
It's just, I hope they don't make a third one, but if they did, I'd probably see it, to be honest. Like, it's not like this one has turned me off of the idea of these characters. I guess I'd wish I'd seen a tad more maturity from them.
I hear you.
But that's just a bonus.
And that may also be because both of those actors have matured themselves, not just in terms of age, but in the type of material that they are putting out there now. Because when that first one came out, I mean, they weren't known as, decent dramatic actors, either one of them.
No, so Jim Carrey was a one-trick pony at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
A very good one-trick pony, but this
True,
is, we're going to get the goofy guy with the rubber face.
Exactly. So maybe because we've seen them mature, it's only natural that we would want their characters to have, changed in some way as well. But, yeah.
Well, you know what else I just thought of? Like a couple things every now and then they sort of reference the format of the first movie or certain things about it. And one of the things they doubled down on this time, which I thought worked, was Lloyd's dream sequences, which are hilarious because this is how he sees himself, Like, how in the first movie, and I was explaining this to Tara, do you remember that, Because in the first movie, he imagines giving the suitcase back to Mary, what's her face? Samsonite. Yeah. He gives the case back to her and she makes out with him. And then they go on a date, like a nice dinner, and then the chef shows up and tries to kill him, and so he fights the chef, and they do this hilarious karate sequence where at the end he pulls his beating heart out of his chest, and and then he at the end of it, they're about to like have sex, and she pulls off her dress. And he's looking down at her boobs, and her boobs are like actual headlights that are blinking. And that's because he's waking up and he's about to hit a truck,
Right.
So it's the same sort of thing here where he's on a date with somebody and then he's at like a dance with somebody and then a bunch of people show up to try to kill him. So it's a total male fantasy in that way. It's like, all right, I'm about to, make love to this lady. Oh, wait, but ninjas are here. Oh, no. Like,
right.
now
I have to protect her.
Yeah. So it's, anytime there's mistaken identity or dream sequences and with those characters, it really works. So, oh, damn it. Okay, yeah, go rent it. I mean, it's, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, anyway, so I wanted to talk about TV now real quick. I recently wrapped up a exceptional television show called Justified. This is a 6-season television show on FX, where it was on FX. It's over now. The concluded, I think, in the spring. And it is a show. Well, okay, so it's based on existing material on books by the author Elmore Leonard, and it stars Timothy Oliphant as Deputy U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens, and who's the way they have it described as he's a tough U.S. Marshal who enforces his own brand of justice in his hometown of Harlan, Kentucky. So. Like, oh, okay, yeah, own brand of justice. I heard that before. You have not, or you have not heard it like this. This show is extremely well executed in every single way. The way I think I described it to you as I was beginning it, I believe you had said you had at least started it or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, I started it.
But well, then you've kind of know the format. So I would describe it as essentially it comes off like at first essentially like a latter day Western. I mean, this main, we got badges, marshals, hats, Kentucky,
right.
gunslingers and whatever else. But it's a really good show. And it's really artfully done. I mean, the shows it's gotten awards and critical acclaim because of the acting, the writing, the directing, the cinematography, the art direction. In fact, I think let's see. It got two. It may have only gotten 2 actual Emmy wins, but the 2 wins were for the second season of the show for guest. Martindale being one of them, and Jeremy Davies that we know from Lost and Saving Private Ryan and a lot of stuff. Jeremy Davies, his performance, I mean, which I agree, those were, you've got every season, whoever the villain is or the new characters are, they're all very well done. it's a show filled with that can, I guess in the beginning is a little more of a procedural, but it's very much a serialized show. And it avoids, I'm not describing it too well, but it avoids doing things that other shows kind of fall into, where there's cliches of how a scene will play out, where essentially every time my expectations were defied. It's one of those shows where enough things work out in the end, to where it's satisfying to watch, but enough things, believably go wrong to where you're not thinking, oh, okay, like everyone's safe, everyone's fine. Because I hate the extremes of both. I don't like shows where everything's fine every day and, everyone gets the perfect cake and shit for birthdays and, we're all cool at the end. And I hate shows where everyone dies and there's just misery, because then it's like, what am I, why?
Right, exactly.
So this show, without spoiling too much of it, this show does that, where, you don't really have to worry about what's going to happen to Raylan for most of the time, but everything that's happening around him and that's, obstacles for him, it's enough to where it's not a frustrating watch. You're not going to go into you're not going to end every episode with, damn it, like that's going to really throw a wrench in his whatever. You end every episode thinking, I can't wait to watch the next episode of the show, because just every scene is so good. It's well written. The characters are very well fleshed out. They're very unique. They have unique quirks. I really enjoy the language they use in the movie, and not just the obvious. I like it when bad people curse. I like that you can say shit on television, because, this is Kentucky, so it's a lot of like, oh, that shit kicker Dickie Bennett, or oh, that piece of shit, or guns fires like shit. Can't shoot for shit. It wouldn't really work on CBS.
Sure, no.
But like, I mean, the way they all speak, it's almost like this could possibly come off as a bad thing to some people. For instance, like in the Newsroom or similar things, every character is clearly Aaron Sorkin and his sensibilities, the way he would speak and his intelligence level and his sarcasm. But every character in this show is comes off like they read a lot, like they're all, they're Hicks or they're, homegrown Kentucky people, but they're not simple. They're not stupid. And maybe that's one of the reasons I like the show so much, is because it's not really a reminder, but it's the first show, obviously, in a while where the Southern characters, who is everybody, aren't played for laughs or caricatures.
Yeah,
it's they're real people, and maybe that's one of the things I like about the show so much, is the atmosphere that they've portrayed here is very believable. I need to also talk real quick about Walton Goggins, who's basically the main bad guy for the whole show. His performance. I mean, I love Walton Goggins. He was from the moment I saw him in The Shield, with Shane Vendrell, and here as Boyd Crowder. He's very enigmatic, and this is one of those shows where you just, I don't know, like if a show could make you proud to be Southern, in a way, like, obviously there's Southern pride, like all that shit, but like there's also like just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people around Mobile, like they don't, it's almost like they've been conditioned to think that it's bad that they're from the South, or that somehow them being from the South makes them inherently less valuable or educated or whatever than other people. And I don't know. I guess it's good to have a show out there for 6 years, a hit television show that's well executed and that people respect. Which I feel like no one would. This show is not in the ether though while it was on the air, so I don't know if it got buried for such a reason. Who knows? But it's nice to have a show out there that showcases the South and a complete and a 99.3% Southern characters. As both interesting, formidable, good, and diverse. Yeah. Well, and even diverse. Like they're not all the same. They all have. It seems like such a stupid thing to say, but for real, like I'm sure that what's his face at Slash Film feels the same about Asian characters. You know, who I'm always, you know, it's like, I'm glad that their show is diverse and different. And so everyone else out there is like, well, yeah, why wouldn't they be that way? But, you know, if they haven't been shown that way, then of course that's going to be a breath of fresh air when they are. It's stupid that they're not, but they aren't usually. Like, whenever I see a Southern character, I'm always just like, oh no, like here comes the, you know, here comes the hey, let's make fun of Alabama now thing. Right. So this is just a really great show. I recommend it to everybody and anybody. And this is one of those shows where I've obviously I'm not in a hurry because I can watch it instantly whenever, but this is now on my Amazon wish list, like the full series Blu-ray. Like, I want to keep this show. I want to have this show as a physical copy in my house. I want it in there with The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. Like, this is a fantastic show, and I highly recommend it to anybody. I think it's not only with all these things, but it's just fun to watch. It's if it were a book, which I'm sure that Elmore Leonard's books are, it would be a page turner. Yeah, yeah. So I guess all I'll say now is it's a not pause or something. Awesome. Yeah.
It's one that you can binge watch.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like, oh, this whole show is based on one book, it's a short story, really. You know, it's called Fire in the Hole. But the concept is that Raylan Givens, you know, justifiably but controversially shoots a drug kingpin in Miami where he's stationed. And so kind of the fallout of all that is them just moving him. And so sort of like as a punishment, he's sent back to his home, sent back to Harlan, where he'd never thought he'd have to go back to again. You know, one of those towns that's just hard to get out of. And now he's back. And so, you know, every now and then he'll run into people like, oh, Raylan, you're Arlo's boy, you know. And there's a whole lot of Raylan Givens in this show. Like in the beginning, like almost every episode, but like every one or two episodes, someone's like, well, Raylan Givens, what do I owe the pleasure? And I'm just, but I love that. I'm like, Raylan, you know. So, yeah. And
it's
Elmore
very
Leonard,
much like a Western.
Yeah. Well, and Elmore Leonard himself, before he died between the 4th and 5th seasons. He had said that Timothy Olyphant was essentially as close to perfect a portrayal of Raylan as ever. He said when he saw Timothy, like, you know, up in wardrobe as Raylan and on screen as Raylan, he was like, "That's the character I wrote on the page. Like that's as I envisioned him. Just this scraggly, skinny, tough dude." And that's Oliphant right there. He's just got this amused grin for a lot of the show, and but also like this real serious way of carrying himself too. And he plays the beleaguered cop very interestingly, and not in a way where you're like, all right, seen that before. The show really makes you want to drink whiskey and just talk about land. Like, you know, it's just one of those kind of like The Sopranos might make you want to like have some wine and steak or something, and I don't know, talk business. This show just makes you want to like sit outdoors and just enjoy. It's a great show. It really is. I can't really speak highly enough of it.
Awesome.
So I'm very glad I watched it. So the whole show, except for season 6, that's not quite there yet. I had to get that from the library, but pretty soon it'll be all of it. But the first 5 seasons are all on Amazon Prime, or like I said, just go to a library and rent it from there.
Awesome.
You know.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find it. Because I did start it, but I don't really have anything to say because I don't really remember much. So I think I'd have to start over. Yeah,
that's what I did, because I'd watched a little bit of it, and then I fell off because I was watching something. I tried to watch too much at once, and that's my problem. So I'm trying to sweep up everything I began. And so for, you know, a few months, like this was the show that I was to catch up on. That was like my main assignment. So now that this is over, the next show is actually, right now it's Buffy, because I'm just watching so many other things that are airing currently. But as soon as we get into winter hiatus, I'm going to start something else, because I like Buffy, but like it's not, I don't want to watch 2 or 3 episodes a day of it. I would with Justified. I could sit down and watch half a season of Justified in a day, like, and I would not lose interest or get repetitive. But with Buffy, it's like, it's just no. It's a good show, but it's just slow. It's just too slow sometimes. Yeah, but there'll be something else soon. I think it's going to be either Entourage or like Rescue Me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be good. Anyway, yeah, so that's Justified.
Awesome.
Well, Dustin, tell me a little bit about the Savannah Film Festival, man. You were out, as I say, on assignment, but that's not why you were there. But,
well, you didn't have to say that because now they think I wasn't there for that.
Well, I mean, you were there because
I was there.
We were sent tickets for free because we're legitimate.
Exactly, and if you own,
said too much.
If you run a film festival and would like for us to be there, please contact us today.
Please send us some credentials, and we'll be happy to accept your money to fly us out and stuff.
Exactly. All you have to do is just send us a pass and pay for our hotel rooms, and there you go. That's all it takes to get the HooperCast on your side.
Hashtag HooperCast, hashtag Hoop, hashtag TIFF.
Yes, please. So I was at the Savannah Film Festival, which was the last week of October. And as you can guess, it's in Savannah, Georgia. This is a festival that Hooper and I dealt with in college because it's hosted by SCAD. And this, I believe, was its 18th year. And so it's getting big. I think, it's spread across 4 venues now. And the programming is like chock full. I mean, it starts programming early in the morning, around 9:30 or so, and then runs sometimes until midnight or later. So it's long days. But I mean, if you're into movies, which I know we are, and most of you guys out there are, if you're not, why are you even listening right now? I guess maybe you're like a friend or a family member or something, in which case, thank you for your support. If you're in the South, if you're in the area, I mean, this is a great festival, and it's super close and quaint, and I think you'll have a good time at it. So check in to getting passes or tickets or whenever they go on sale. But I've got a little backlog of movies that I saw. Now, I was there working, so I didn't get to really experience a lot of the movies that I wanted to see because I was stuck at one of the venues and for the week. So I have 6 features that I saw. One is a documentary, and so those would be the film Embers, Spotlight, Becoming Bulletproof, The Prophet, Legend, and I Saw the Light, and a handful of short films as well, some of which were really awesome and some of which, are, just okay. But what surprises me now, I guess this is sort of more about the state of film, is there seem to be, and I know there always have been short films, and a lot of short films, but they seem to be attracting bigger talent now than they used to. And I don't know why that is, other than maybe just that actors are looking to diversify and looking to always have something to do. And so you'll see like Zachary Quinto in a short film, or, I don't know, Danny Glover. I mean, it's just, there's all sorts of people doing short films now that a few years ago you wouldn't have seen. And so I think that's really cool. And anyway, so I've got this backlog, and I don't know, Hooper, what you want me to talk about today, if you want me to review any of these or hold on to them for another time. But I've got a backlog of, like I said, 6 feature films that I can talk about, and some of which are recommended and some of which are not. And I think all of these are either about to come out or still a few months away. And so this will be a great place for you guys listening to the HooperCast to kind of get a little bit of a scoop on what to see when they are released. And that's about it.
Let's hold them.
Okay.
Let's hold one till next week. Just because we're already a little bit deeper in the show
sure.
than I don't want to have to. I don't want to hold questions just to make time.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll save those. I'm interested to hear about that. Well, that's amazing.
It's fun.
I must say also, like, if you want to go to the festival, I believe it's relatively cheap. Like in the realm of film festival, like reputable, good film festivals, it's a penny saver too to go to the Savannah one. Also,
it is. I mean, that's probably for a number of reasons. Its connection with the school probably helps keep ticket prices low. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, it's not too expensive for a week of movies, and we attract some good talent. This year we had Elizabeth Olsen, Olivia Wilde, Meg Ryan, Saoirse Ronan. You know, some decent names, some people that you've definitely seen their films before, and in the past we've had Tommy Lee Jones, Liam Neeson, Ian McKellen,
Gandolfini.
Wait, did we have James Gandolfini?
I believe James Gandolfini was there.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
I think it was like the same year he died.
It was. That was the year I didn't go down there. You're right. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, James Gandolfini was there.
Chris Cooper, James Cromwell.
Yep. James Franco. What's his name? The guy that played Nightcrawler.
Alan Cumming.
He
goes a lot. He's been there more than once, I believe.
Yeah, he was on the board of trustees at the theater. So I don't know if he still is or not, but he was. So yeah, I mean, you know, there's some big names that come through, and you know, so it's a big festival, and really honestly, I know I work for them, so it's hard to remain, you know, unbiased, but really honestly, I think the festival's at sort of a peak, and what we're going to see is in the next few years an explosion, and so yeah, well, I think what's going to happen is, you know, when we were students, Hooper, I think it was really just two venues, right? Trustees and Lucas.
Yeah.
Or maybe we were doing the Gutstein at that time too.
Gutstein
I can't remember.
Gallery was a new thing on my way out.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's where I met / guarded Jared Butler.
Oh, that's right.
And a couple other things went on in that room. There was mostly workshops in the Gutstein Gallery, but there was a couple after parties there.
Right, and they do like panels and whatnot. Discussions, but yeah. So now it's those two theaters, the Gutstein Gallery, and also the SCAD Museum of Art, which isn't, you know, those other three locations are right there together. So the SCAD Museum of Art is a little bit of a trek, but they do have shuttles that run over that way. Nevertheless, it's expanding, and really we can't fit any more screenings into a day there. So I mean it's full. So either we start a screening earlier than 9:30, or we stay later than midnight. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So there's going to have to be some sort of expansion, and I don't know what that is. And as far as I know, there's no plans for that. But really, I feel like the festival has kind of hit its peak, and there's going to have to be something that happens to expand it, and it will happen. So anyway, it's gonna be fun, and like Hooper said, I mean, if you're in the area, it is a good festival to check out, and Savannah's a great town. I mean, we lived there for 4 years, so it's easy for us to, or at least for me, to get kind of bogged down in the negatives of the town and be like, oh, well, you know, you get stuck behind horses, and then there's like trains, and everything smells sometimes because of the paper mill, and you can like find these negatives. But really, for a week, I mean, it's a really charming city, and it's a city that's, you know, really bound together by their love of the arts, which is great. But during that week, everybody's bound together by their love of film. And I find that a refreshing sort of place to be. Because it's interesting. There will be like movies that come to the festival, like, for instance, last year we premiered Big Hero 6. And you would expect, okay, Big Hero 6 is going to attract a lot of animation students, some film students, but it's going to be a younger crowd because these are going to be like the students and millennials who, are a little more into that kind of thing. But really, it's not. Like, there's no demographic for these films. And so even though you'll see something like, okay, well, this is a film about, World War II, and it's, more, grounded in reality and a little more somber. And so you kind of start thinking, well, maybe this will play to an older crowd, but it doesn't. Everything, in other words, there is no demographic for these films at this festival. It's just a movie, and everybody comes to see the movie because they just want to see a good movie. Yeah. And I think that's really refreshing because, it's very easy in your day-to-day life to just say, like, okay, well, Star Wars will play to 18, 25-year-old men. It's not, unless they're dragged, there's not a lot of women that are going to see it. It's easy to speak about a film by its demographic. But what's refreshing about a film festival is that there is no demographic. Those lines disappear, and everyone, when the lights go down, are just enjoying the movie together. And everybody who's there, this to me is probably the big thing. Everybody who's there either A, really wants to be there because they're professionals or they're students, or B, they really want to be there because they've paid $750 for a pass to be there. So what you're getting is not like, just a bunch of teenagers that are just looking to get out of the house for a couple hours and they're going to be talking and on their phone through the whole movie. Instead, you're going to get people who are respectful and want the best movie-going experience possible. So when something funny happens, the whole theater laughs. And when something scary happens, the whole theater gasps. And when something cute happens, everybody says "aw" at the same time.
Or when you're in the trustees and someone cuts his arm off to save himself from a rock, someone faints and we stop the movie and turn the lights on.
Yeah, someone faints or throws up or something. Yeah, no, for real, that's a true story. When they premiered 127 Hours, he was sawing through his arm, and then all of a sudden the film goes dark and the lights come up. And
I just remember hearing, like, we need a doctor, and I thought there was so many, like, there was so much ambient, like, sound work in that movie. I just thought it was part of the movie. And then after a second, like, the movie stops and the lights, dim up, and there's someone, like, kind of slumped over a seat, and I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And I had read that morning that was happening to people, and I was like, come on.
Right, exactly. No, they had warnings out. Yeah. That for that screening, like, hey, please be aware this is intense. And some woman just completely passed out, just slumped over in her chair, and the paramedics came and brought her out, didn't they?
I can't remember. I don't know if they were able to sort of walk her to the lobby and then the paramedics came. I don't remember paramedics in the theater, but I don't recall. I probably just sat down and read the pamphlet until it. Right.
Yeah, I can't quite remember. Or something. Yeah. But yeah. So I mean, everybody who's there wants to be there, and everybody who's there is into the movie, and or at least trying to be into the movie. And so it's a fun atmosphere, and film festivals are interesting because, I mean, it's one of the only art forms where people go to experience art all day long. I mean, no one goes to a gallery or a museum all day. You know what I mean? Film festival is like an all-day love affair with movies, and I don't know, it's just interesting.
Well, it's just like going to any, going to Universal or Disney or on a cruise or something. Like, well, maybe a cruise is the broadest example, but you're all there because you enjoy doing a certain type of thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No, you're not going to talk to anyone on a ship. It's not like you're going to go up to someone on a cruise ship and say, "Man, this is great, isn't it?" And they're going to go, "Actually, I really hate the ocean." Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, there's people. If people are going to spend money for passes or just tickets to some of the screenings, people are putting their money where their mouth is. Like, they're spending money because they want to enjoy a thing. So everyone who's there, it's the same reason why none of this stuff should ever really be free, because you'll get people there who don't appreciate it, who aren't invested in it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they even used to say that, like, when Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla would do little Loveline colleges, they would come to colleges and talk to the teenagers, And it, as an associate with Loveline, the venue people would tell them like, "Well, it's a free event," and they would say, "Charge them $1, like even $1, like you've paid." People would get up and leave in the middle of a movie if they didn't pay any money.
Right.
Exactly. So with these events, like, yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit, but it's in exchange for the atmosphere. I mean, I even working the event. I mean, it was cool. I would just walk down the street. Like I never felt more like in tune with downtown Savannah than I did when I was volunteering at the film festival. Mm-hmm. I would just walk down the street and think like, all right, like I'm going to work this screening and I'm going to, get to talk to some industry professionals and then see a movie,
Right. Exactly.
And I met, what's her name? I met Patty Darbanville, who I recognized, but I didn't know from what for a while. But she talked to me for like 3 hours. And then, and it was like a couple weeks later, we were watching The Sopranos, and Phil Leotardo shoots her. And I was like, "Oh, that's her."
Yeah.
And she said some very naughty things in The Sopranos, and I was like, "Oh, Patty, no, Patty, stop,
stop doing this to me."
Yeah, it's a good time.
It is. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. If you're not in the area, go to a film festival just anyway. I mean, it's just fun. And yeah. So look forward to, in the weeks to come, I'll be slowly rolling out little reviews for the various films that I saw, and I think you guys will at least enjoy some of them. Some of them are indie films that maybe are not going to be played near your city, but will probably be on Netflix or DVD or something soon, in which case I will let you know what I know about their release. And as far as the big motion pictures, those are... I'll also let you know when those are coming out too, but yeah, there's a few of those as well, so...
I don't know how much you have, how many thoughts you have about this, but Dustin and I both watched a documentary on Netflix called Back in Time. Mm-hmm. Essentially, just about the cultural impact of Back to the Future, and I'm assuming that it was made and released because obviously it's the year 2015 and it was October. And I didn't know what it was till I clicked on it. I was like, I saw the DeLorean, and I was like, well, this is something. Mm-hmm. What did you think of this documentary?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to sit and watch stuff about movies for me, but it didn't really tell me anything that I didn't know or that you wouldn't be able to find out from, the behind the scenes stuff on the, movies DVD.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, the most interesting part I thought was the stuff behind the movie. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that, like I said, I probably could have gotten somewhere else, or like you said, not me. I'm Tyler Durden. So there was stuff that I didn't know about how the movie came together, and I was sort of hoping the whole documentary would just sort of be that. And then after a while, and maybe this is, again, where me and other people would differ. Some people like hearing little stories, in documentaries, oh, well, that's his story, and now we're going to talk to this homeless man about his story. And for me, is whenever they'd go to, this guy, and I'm just your wife let you buy 3 DeLoreans?
Yeah, I know, right?
What? Or I have this, and I spent, and I've got it all worked just like the movie. And I'm like, that's kind of cool, but what are you going to do with it? It's just going to sit in your garage. And I can only assume you clean it every week or so. It just seems like an investment that is not returning.
Right, exactly.
Except, your enjoyment of it, obviously. But I don't enjoy anything as much as some of these people enjoy Back to the Future.
I know, right?
It's crazy. I like a lot of things that I like. I love the Marvel movies, but I'm not going to buy a life-size replica of Ultron and put it in my kitchen.
Well, maybe if you had a lot of extra money, maybe.
Yeah, well, if I had a lot of disposable income, I would probably have an Iron Man suit in my garage, in a case.
Mm-hmm. That would be.
I think that'd be a fun accessory, but that's if you have every week if you have $3,000 of disposable income. Like,
right.
What do I want to do? I really want people to walk to my garage and see my Iron Man suit.
Right, exactly.
Not even a wearable one, just one in a case to where it appears to the casual observer that I might be Iron Man.
Right, you could possibly be him.
Yeah, or a gigantic bronze Hulk like in my front yard,
That would be legit.
To scare away birds.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would never do that. And so for some it's just like, man, like I bet it's great. I mean, and they might be, and this is and obviously this is a movie about this one particular interest. Not that none of these guys enjoy like sports or time with friends or anything. Mm-hmm. It's not like they wouldn't enjoy those things too. So we're only seeing this part of
one aspect,
of their personality. But to me, all I can think of is just, hey, Barry, so how was your weekend? Like, oh, well, I bought more raw materials to carve out another hand-carved Marty McFly that I'll then burn and sacrifice to Bob Gale. And it's like, oh, okay, well.
Okay, weirdo.
Cool. I guess I'll see you on Monday, weirdo.
Yeah, exactly.
I never want to be friends with anyone who only talks about one specific interest all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right. No. And that's the thing about this. Like, I love Batman, but I don't know. I feel like anybody who's so, I don't know, forthcoming.
When I call you on the phone, Dustin, when I call
obsessive.
you and I'm like, hey, how's your day going? If every time you said, I'm just thinking about Batman again, I'd be like, Jesus, like, enough already.
Exactly. That's it's because it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So, and you're right. This gives you that impression sometimes, this documentary, because, that's all we're seeing of these people, but still, good Lord.
Yeah.
The money, like, there's that one guy who owns 2 DeLoreans and Marty's truck. And there was something else.
He owns the VW bus that the Libyans drive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. It's ridiculous. Like,
and did he have like mannequins too in them?
He did, and he said, "I know, like a legit serial killer. He had mannequins." But he said like that's one of 3 DeLoreans in existence that were screen used, and he's got it. And he said like $500,000 for this DeLorean.
Just made me cry.
Can you imagine spending that amount of money on pretty much anything?
Oh my
but
God.
Especially just a novelty car.
Like not even like one of Paul Newman's racing cars or something. Like a screen used DeLorean that you wouldn't dare drive to the store.
Right.
Like you wouldn't even run down the street
because
to buy
you
beer
spent $500,000 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not driving it. Bye.
I'm not going to drive it. I'm never really going to touch it, and I will be in constant fear that someone will steal it.
Yeah, or that the garage will catch on fire.
Not only that, dude, but can you imagine the insurance policy on something like that?
Yeah,
because
if
you're submitting like your assets to an insurance company, like, hey, I need coverage for this amount of stuff. You've got a gigantic monthly bill now just because you have a $500,000 car that you need insured in case your garage catches on fire.
Yep. That's insane.
What?
It is insane. It's legitimately crazy.
Well, anyway,
now, having said that, though, if there was a Batmobile for sale, I would seriously consider it.
Yeah, well, it's practical.
True.
I mean, well, so the documentary is called Back in Time. So if you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. Yeah. So Spectre opens this is in theaters now. This weekend. So that's interesting. Did I hear that this is going to be his last outing as James Bond, or did I
don't know, man. I've seen some like press where he's basically saying like I would rather slash my wrists than play James Bond again.
See, that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Why would you say that before the movie comes out?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and then he's all like, Bond is a despicable character, and I hate him because he's a misogynist, and he's,
I don't see. Here's the. I refuse to believe that Daniel Craig actually feels that way. I feel like I don't think anyone thinks that about most things. Is he? I find it hard to believe that the guy who signed on to play this very same character, what's essentially 10 years ago, is now. They're saying like, oh, he's a misogynist and he's this and that. And like, really? Or has the social landscape just changed in the past 10 years and now you feel like you're going to be hung out or strung up to the highest tree if you say something, if you say you like James Bond?
Well, this is true. And also, the character hasn't changed in his hands. It hasn't changed in ever. So he knew 10 years ago what he was signing on for.
I feel like someone, I don't know. This is why I don't like actors, is because not only do I feel like they shoot their mouths off about stuff they don't really know that much about, but I feel like they're either too scared or just too whatever to just speak. They're too much. They're open books and they're pliable because they're supposed to play characters and they're supposed to see everyone's point of view. But sometimes that just leads them into this whole like, I don't want to say or do anything too controversial because I want to keep working. And I just feel like he felt if he endorsed any virtue of James Bond's at all, it's like he's covering his ass almost. Well, so he can say later, like, true. "Oh, I said misogyny was bad. Don't look at me."
Right. I think that also feeds the idea that you've got to, like, in order to root for a character or enjoy a character, you have to side with them on everything. I mean, again, go back to Breaking Bad, and it's just like, I mean, I'm sure Bryan Cranston isn't out there saying like, "Oh yeah, I agree with everything Walter White did," but at the same time, he's also out there saying, "I love playing that character." This character has a flaw. And so, if you said, okay, is James Bond misogynistic? Yeah, probably. But that shouldn't negate how much I enjoy watching his the films about that character.
That makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Like that for...
Oh, God. But I will say, too, for Spectre... I think it's only getting like so-so reviews. So this may be like another, like where you got like Casino Royale, which is really good, and then you got Quantum of Solace, which is like meh, and then you got Skyfall, which is really good, and then you're going to have this one that's kind of meh. So we'll see.
I think having Christoph Waltz in there will be great.
I still have not seen a trailer for this movie.
I haven't really seen a full one either. I just know that he's in it.
I want to go in completely clean. So
yeah, me too. Well, Godspeed to Daniel Craig. I mean, and that's the thing. I really like him, and I really like him as Bond. So I guess it just makes me a little sad that he's getting sick of it. I mean, you can just say it's time for me to move on.
Right. Or you could just say, you know what, it's not, artistically challenging me the way now that I thought it might then.
It's great, but it's someone else's turn. I mean, you could say many things.
Yeah, and you can even be a little negative, but you've got to be positive about the overall like future.
Well, if you're going to do it after the movie comes out.
Yeah, this is true too.
So
yeah. And then also this weekend is the Peanuts movie, which I'm looking forward to. I used to love the Peanuts, and I just like the animation style on this. I mean, it's CGI, that
I never
3D
thought
style animation, but
that they could copy the animation with CG the way they did. And looking at the trailer for this, they did it. I mean,
they did.
It's pretty incredible for them to have maintained the style of the show.
Yeah, it's certainly unique in the 3D film landscape.
Yeah.
Also this weekend, there's probably 3 more that I want to talk about really quick.
Okay.
One is Spotlight, which is the true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered, according to IMDb, I'm reading the IMDb thing right now, uncovered the massive scandal of child molestation and cover-up within the Catholic Church, shaking the entire church to its core.
Is this one of the ones you saw at the festival?
It is. So I saw this at the festival, and I guess maybe next week I'll go ahead and do the review on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about that next episode.
Okay. Yeah.
So that you guys can decide whether or not you want to see it. Mm-hmm. It's got a great cast: Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Liev Schreiber. Good cast. Then there's also Trumbo, which looks really good, but I hear is just kind of okay.
Yeah.
But it's about a man named Dalton Trumbo, who was a huge screenwriter back in the day, and when it came out that perhaps he may be a communist sympathizer, he was blacklisted from Hollywood, and so he continued writing movies for Hollywood under various names and whatnot. So yeah, it's got Bryan Cranston as Trumbo, Diane Lane, Helen Mirren, Louis C.K. So should be pretty cool. And then there's Brooklyn, which stars Saoirse Ronan and
Saoirse Ronan, the Accuser.
Yes,
I thought of that during the film festival talk, and I didn't.
Oh no,
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I had to make it onto the show.
Right. Oh no.
Have I derailed you, Justin?
That's okay. This film we also played at the film festival. I did not get a chance to see the whole film, so I can't speak too much about it.
Right.
But what I will say is I saw, I think, probably the first 15 minutes and maybe the last 10, and it looked like a pretty solid flick. And it's about an Irish immigrant who moves to Brooklyn in the 1950s, and there's some romance and some various things, and there's Domhnall Gleeson is in it, and Jim Broadbent, both from Harry Potter, and I can't say much about it, whether to see it or not to see it. There won't be a full review since I have not seen the full movie, but I will say that it looks, at least from what I saw, like a solid film. I mean, at least, somewhat artistically, created. And so it might be worth your time if that kind of floats your boat. So
that'll probably do it for this episode. Next week we'll talk about Spotlight, which among other people stars the great Mark Ruffalo, which again, like Mark Ruffalo and I, politically, socially, a lot of things, probably don't see eye to eye at all. But God, I love his acting. Mm-hmm. I love watching him. So there you go, Daniel Craig, and Matt Damon,
especially Matt Damon.
Who else? George Clooney. So, that'll be it. Next week we'll talk about Spotlight, and I don't think I will have finished any TV shows. I'm not sure when television's going to reach winter hiatus. I guess around Thanksgiving is when that usually happens.
Yeah, usually. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so got a couple more weeks of before things go on hiatus, and then I'll start catching up on some older shows.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. See you later.
Yes. Bye.
HooperCast on Google. HooperCast, iTunes, HooperCast. Just do some work and look for it.
Yeah, it's not that hard. You guys,
I Googled that. Yeah.
Right. If you're listening to it right now, just listen to it again next week where you're listening to it right now.
Yeah. Where did you find this?
Wherever you are.
Go there again.
Come back in a week.
Yes. Alrighty. See you, everybody.
Bye.